believe that only intelligent people can be naughty. Success, it's very subjective because success is not a destination, it's a journey. Success to me is liking yourself, liking what you do, also liking how you do it. People who are leaders are natural leaders, they are born leaders. How to make yourself happy? Love yourself. Only you know who you are. I mean, nobody can come and tell you that you have to become this, you have to become this, do things like this. For me, examinations were one night full fight. Never be afraid of chasing your dreams. You have to be through your failures, through your pain, so there's no choice but to embrace it. If you're not comfortable with something, get out of that situation. Don't linger it, don't drag it. Selection of people, selection of relationships, selection of people whom you confide in, whom you feel confident in talking to is very important. Even if you're going through hell, just keep going. Fall in love with yourself.
I'm your host Gaurav Garg and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Mentor. Today with us is Dr. Fatima. She is founder and CEO Upkin Education and Consultants. Recipient of MIT Young Research Award and the Best Woman Performer in Academic Leadership Award. Dr. Fatima is an experienced academician with over 18 years of demonstrative history of research and teaching in diverse international environments. Currently, she is associated with American College of Dubai as Associate Professor and Dean, School of Business. She is strongly committed to creating an engaging, effective and interactive learning environment that fosters continuous development of the learners. She is a strong education professional with short course in behavioral finance, digital marketing, strategy and leadership for Duke University, University of Michigan and University of Illinois. She also is the founder director of Section 25 Company, a non-profit organization, Social Research and Human Development Foundation. Dr. Fatima is also engaged with a lot of social welfare organizations, actively working for female foeticide, be it diabetics, breast cancer awareness, child education, and homeless old age and elderly people. She is an active volunteer of Robin Hood Army. She spearheaded the CSR campaign of MIT University Lucknow campus in adoption of 5 villages. She is flexible individual with a strong team working skills and also ability to work individually or as part of group with a complete blend of both traditional and modern approach. It's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Fatima to our show Amazing Mentor. Welcome, Ms. Fatima.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for having me here. It's my pleasure to be here and I hope it is of some help.
Of course, we also look forward for this day. So tell us about your childhood and memories which you still enjoy from your childhood.
There are so many memories from my childhood. My childhood, basically the major portion of my childhood was spent in Gorakhpur. We had a big, huge house, which is still there. And we had a big, gigantic joint family. It never looked like that we are normally living our life. It was almost like a celebration because there were so many kids and we used to play all sorts of games. And the best time was when there was no electricity in the night. There was a normal roasting time. Then evenings were mostly spent in dark, at least a good number of hours, like 4 hours to 5 hours. And that was the most fun time because nobody can ask you to study. And so we used to get rid of our homework and everything till 5 o'clock when it was like there was some light. And after that, it was fun time till the time we used to hit our bed. Beautiful memories to cherish. Beautiful memories to cherish.
So tell us about your educational background, schooling and higher education.
Almost all my schooling was done in Gorakhpur. There was a convent school there, Carmel Convent. So it was Apostolic Carmel, which is one of the 123 branches across the Asian continent. I did my early schooling up to class 12 from Carmel Convent. And then I went to Gorakhpur University for my undergrad and postgrad. I did my BCom from Gorakhpur University and I did my MCom also from Gorakhpur University. And then I enrolled myself into a PhD program from Purvanchal University, VBS Purvanchal University.
So what was your dream profession as a child?
During our days, we were not that focused and my profession kept on changing. At that point of time, whatever inspired me or whatever impressed me or influenced me. So I had so many choices then. Some days I wanted to become a pilot, some days I wanted to become a doctor, an engineer, because these were the professions which were basically talked about. Teaching, I don't know, it just happened. It happened only in 2000 when I started teaching. So as such, there was no particular focus per se on one profession that I wanted to become. We used to select our profession on day-to-day basis, what we liked at that particular point of time. I think the two things which were very much there in my mind during my early adulthood and late adulthood was that I wanted to have something of my own. So I think now I'll be able to have a company of my own, which will be focusing on mainly on academics because I'm an academician. But yes, definitely, it'll definitely work on a lot of CSR projects as well.
So any school or college life that makes you laugh whenever you remember about that particular incident? Any notorious incidents?
Again, Gaurav, I just can't tell you how naughty I was. Quite a few things which get stuck in your mind. And every parent-teacher meeting was so scary for me because no matter whatever you do, but you are completely exposed when your parents come and meet your teachers and ours was a convent school. They were very strict as far as parents' attendance is concerned or meeting with teachers is concerned. And I happen to be a very naughty child. I mean, I don't look like, but I am very naughty from inside. Naughty is a small word is not a right word to be used. My sister superior, my nuns used to call me and they used to use an adjective as she is very nasty. And I could all cover it up because I was very good in studies also. I was very good in extracurricular activities also. I was lucky to get a benefit of doubt from my teachers. Because the kind of mischiefs we used to do, there was a fire in the chemistry lab once. We were just trying to experiment and it was not our chemistry period. We just went into the lab. Luckily, you can say, unfortunately for the school management, the lab was open and we just entered and we were just trying to see as to how it was because we always saw seniors doing a lot of experimentation where they were using all chemicals and they were experimenting as to what will happen. And unknowingly, we did something that caused fire in the lab and we were very frightened. We ran away. But believe me, I never thought that I'll be able to get away with it because when the suspicion came to us that I was also part of the gang who was seen or who was somewhere near the lab, my teacher said that she's a very good student, she's very good in studies. I doubt that she must be or she was there. So I always used to get away with it. But believe me, I was very notorious. So this was one incident which I always, when I look back and I think, I thought, luckily, nobody got hurt. So I was lucky also, fortunate also. And at the same time, believe me, I always was very lively and I always was very naughty. And there's a very strong belief as a teacher also. Always I'm attracted towards the students who are very naughty. The most notorious boys are the best to tame. Why? Because I always believe that only intelligent people can be naughty. People who don't have brain cannot do anything. If they are dumb, they'll not be mischievous. So if somebody is into this, that means they are intelligent. And they are the hardest people to tame. But that is not for encouraging any student or anybody.
So tell us about your hobbies and interests.
Sleeping, I'll say, because whenever you're falling short of time, you basically want to rest. And this is one thing which I'm deprived of most of the time. So I am not able to sleep. Sometimes it is because of stress, because of workload, because of so many other things. Sometimes you are emotionally so occupied and things like that. But majority of times, yes, reading is my hobby and all kind of literature. It's not only related to academics. Rather, I'll say I'll hate reading my course books. I also love cooking. When I'm very stressed, either I go out for shopping or I cook something. So eating, cooking, and yes, talking to people again, networking. I love to talk to people. I love to connect. I love to explore things. I'm very keen and interested in traveling to historical places.
So who was your inspiration in early childhood?
My father, all through my life, till the day he was alive and after his death also, I see a lot of his personality reflecting in me. So I'm very much like my father, and everybody says also that I'm very much like my father. Second person who had a lot of influence on my childhood is my grandmother. I remember when my father got his first heart attack, he got operated in Delhi and we were back in Gorakhpur. My granny used to stay and sleep with us. She was so progressive and the entire upbringing, the entire environment which we had in our home was such that nobody could have believed that we belonged to a conventional, traditional Muslim family. So they were the influencers. Of course, my parents and my grandmother, because she was a real royal. She was very progressive and with a very strong personality. I don't remember I've seen anybody with such a strong personality then, and I cannot even match her with people who I came across nowadays. I still feel that she was very strong, and she had a great deal of influence on my personality.
So where did you started your career journey from?
Again, I'll say I started from Gurukul. Once I completed my postgrad, it was 1998 when I did my MCom. And then in 2009, and all along I was working with the Islamia College of Commerce. Then I worked with the ICFI Business School. And then we relocated to Lucknow. And then I started working with Amity University. And once I came to Dubai, then I worked with Manipal and then American College of Dubai. So this is how I started. I started my professional teaching career in 2000. Otherwise, I started my teaching career in 1998, I would say.
So what's that one thing you love about your profession the most?
Simply, it's interacting with students, interacting with people, because when you are connected to students, you also have to connect to the parents. At university level, yes, the interaction becomes more interesting because you are dealing with students who are young adults. There's a difference in dealing with the students when they are in school and when they enter the college. They are in a growing up stage. Their psyche is different altogether. So it's very interesting because every student will pose some kind of a challenge in front of you. So it's not easy to actually take along and get along with the students at this stage because they are like misguided missiles. So you have to actually tame them. You have to bring back their focus. Because they feel free. Now I'm out of the school. Now I'm in a university. So how they I don't know what kind of psyche they have, but altogether they are different people when they are in schools and when they enter into university. And the kind of respect you earn at the end of the day when you meet students who contact you that ma'am, I've become this, and when you enter into some organization and a lot of students come and wish you and they touch your feet, so you feel very proud. So these are the two things which I find very interesting and very encouraging. And that is what has kept me in this profession, because I get to speak and talk to a lot of people and understand a lot of people.
So as a teacher, you mentor many students basically. So who is your mentor in your lives?
Yes, my parents, my father especially. And there have been quite a few people in my life at different stages with whom I've learned a lot. One was the Pro Vice Chancellor of Amity Lucknow, Major General K.K. Ori. He had a great influence in my professional life. The second person in my professional life who has a lot of influence on me is Professor V.P. Sahi. He was my reporting boss. So he was also so organized, so calm and composed. I've never seen them reacting negatively in any situation. So these can be said to be my mentors. Then there was one person whom I really enjoyed working with was Professor Ramesh Krishnan. I think at different points of time, there were different people who influenced me.
So what was the most challenging phase of your life?
Every new day is a challenge altogether. But the most difficult part was both in my personal and professional life. And I lost my father in 2016 because I was very close to him, very attached to him. So I completely went off track post his death in 2016. And that was one of the major reasons why I relocated to Dubai, just because I was emotionally very, very broken, completely shattered, and I was not able to focus anymore. It was a new place altogether, a new job, new organization, new people, new environment. So it was very challenging because I was not in my full form, like I was not my original self. I was a little, you can say, derailed. Emotionally, I was not very stable. So those 2 years, I think 2016 till early 18, I was like very disturbed, and it was very challenging to work with your full capacity. And because see, no one will understand as to what you're going through inside. When you're working, everybody expects that you'll be working with your full ability. I have never been very expressive also, that I'll be spilling over on everyone that I'm going through this, that. So I was very quiet also. So that was the most challenging time, both personally and professionally.
So what's your definition of success?
Success, it's very subjective. Success to me is liking yourself, liking what you do, also liking how you do it. actually liking yourself. At the end of the day, you have to feel happy of what you do. You have to feel contented and confident in whatever you do. Even, completing this interview with you will also be a success. Spending my day productively is also success. Doing something with perfection is also success to me. So I find and I define success even in small things I do, which makes me feel happy and contented. So that is what success means to me.
So if you were able to get hold of time machine, which phase of your life would you like to roll back?
Of course, my childhood days. Absolutely wonderful days. Like, I really cherish my childhood days because I've never seen, even in this generation, the generations after me, I have not seen that kind of happiness and vibrance. Even my own kids, kids in my family, they don't have that kind of environment and they don't have that kind of liberty to enjoy the way we enjoyed our life in our childhood days. So definitely I want to go back with zero worries, zero stress. Those were the best moments. Otherwise, I would like to stay in the present.
So what's the motto of your life?
Motto of my life is, even if you're going through hell, just keep going.
So now you have started your career journey 2 times, one in India and second time in Dubai. So what were the initial challenges when you started your career journey 2 times again and again?
I started my career with an entry which I got very comfortably. I don't had to go through the challenges which normal people feel in the first instance. When I started by an invitation. I was asked to come and join. I was given a very royal treatment just because of my personal bondings, family relationship. And then I was a very good student in my university also. So most of the professors knew me really well. So I did not find any challenge entering or starting my professional career. But yes, when I joined Manipal Academy of Higher Education in Dubai, I was in a dilemma. As I told you, I was very disturbed when I lost my father. I was still working with Amity there and at full throttle. I was at the helm of affairs, though I was working as an associate professor there, but I was involved in so many things that it was not less than heading some position there. And it was very difficult for me to leave an established job. I was very emotionally connected to that university and people there. Again, I'll say I did not face any challenge. I kept on getting emails from Manipal Academy of Higher Education. And earlier I thought it is some kind of a spam because I never applied to them. And then when I got the emails, I did not respond because I thought, how will they and why will they pick me from here in Lucknow? I'm sitting here in Lucknow and they are operating in. And I honestly, I never knew that there's some Manipal campus in Dubai also. Then I got a call one day and they said, ma'am, you're not responding to our emails. Probably they are falling in or they are landing in your junk or spam. That was the time when okay, fine. Oh, it's a genuine one. So I responded them. Then I interacted with them. It was not a formal kind of interview, but it was a video kind of interaction. I talked to their academic president and then HR and then the dean of business school. It was just formalities, discussion on the environment, what I'm expected to and then I came here. So honestly, in both the situations, I did not face any kind of challenge. Yes, but it was not an easy journey. It was not easy. Once you are in there, then you have to prove your potential because then a lot of people will look up to you. And they'll say, oh, you are getting this kind of a treatment. So you have to prove all the time. So entering was easy, but surviving there was very difficult. It was very challenging.
So what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership to me is inspiring others to work towards a common goal because leadership is all about, I don't think so. Leadership is something which you can acquire. It's a inherent kind of a quality which comes. People who are leaders are natural leaders. They are born leaders. If you are very good in team building, if you're very good in working along with people in teams, then I think you have that in you. And if you're able to influence a group of people to follow you or think the way you want them to think, I think it can be or it is called leadership. So for me, leadership is making people work towards a common goal or influence them to an extent that they start working towards a common goal.
So any specific reason to choose teaching as your career?
I honestly tell you, I was not exactly looking for becoming a teacher. Teaching was not there in my choices of career. I was doing my CWA and I did it to a certain extent until intermediate level. But after I joined and I started doing professional teaching, though I enjoyed whatever brief stint I had with Pringa Public School and but I started enjoying teaching. Then I joined this Islamia Degree College. I was taking full-fledged class of company accounts and partnership there. and I really enjoyed, and it was a big huge class of 56 students, and it was very interesting. Then when I entered the class, the students sometimes, because I was very young with very short hairs, and majority of the time people who were not attending the classes regularly, they used to think that I'm a new admission kind of. I was very lean and lanky and very young, so it was fun actually. They saw me as somebody from them. They used to connect with me instantly because I was very open. I was not a conventional teacher. I have never been a conventional teacher. I always give a lot of freedom for my students to speak, and I give them a lot of confidence so that they can open up. And since the day I started, I think my classes are very interactive kind of a classes. So because I like to communicate, I like to connect with people. So I always encourage them to speak very openly. So it was not like a conventional class where it's kind of a monologue which is going on and I'm just speaking and my students are listening. So there was a time when I was made the head of, or the coordinator, you can say, of MBA executive program of Amity Lucknow. That was my first class in the day. It was scheduled early morning because I was very okay with the first classes. People used to have classes post lunch because then they'll come and relax and then they'll start the class. I preferred taking classes in the first hours. So I allowed my students to come with their breakfast and coffees rather than making an excuse that, ma'am, there was no water in hostel, so I got late. I woke up late. It was very cold. During winters, it used to be very cold. So a lot of people said, Fatima, you don't allow students to come with breakfast, and they are MBA executive students. They are professionals. I mean, you can't treat them like school kids. So it is more necessary and important for me to have students with their mind present there rather than physically present there. Because the kind of teaching which goes into, like if I'm discussing a case study, I want to have the participation of the students. If they are not comfortable doing that, then what is the purpose of conducting a class? So my style of teaching was very different and unconventional, and because of that also I faced a lot of challenge. But then eventually everybody started following the same thing. I mean, this is what I really enjoyed in my teaching profession. This is what I strongly believe in also.
So what's your definition of impossible?
I'll not say much because I don't think so there's anything impossible. They are very small things. When I started, I'm fitness freak kind of a person. So I spent a lot of time gymming. I realized that I'm very weak because in childhood, I had this problem of heart murmur. So I was not allowed to run. I was an athlete during my school days. And over a period of time, I realized that I don't feel very comfortable in running. So I used to walk. I do brisk walking on treadmill also, otherwise also. But off late, I realized that I can do a little bit of running. And in today's time, when I started, it was like 1 kilometer in 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Now it is 1 kilometer in 6 minutes because I started running. So I don't think so there's anything impossible. And if I'm doing it at this stage with keeping all my health issues in mind, I think it is quite achievable. And now my next challenge is every day I try to beat the previous day's time. I don't think so there's anything which is impossible.
So as per your opinion, what would be the role of women in the coming future as far as teaching is concerned?
If we talk about the Indian context or anywhere across the world, females are more strong emotionally. They are more empathetic. They have a better understanding of emotions. I strongly believe in teaching profession, whether it is early teaching or whether it is adult teaching. I think females do it in a more efficient and better way. And researchers have proved it also that you have more successful female teachers than male teachers. Because I think it's all about grabbing the attention and focus. And by all means, I think females are able to do it in a much better way than males. I remember there was a teacher when I was associated with Springer Public School during my first assignment. There was a teacher, her name was Bhavna. And she was taking care of the kindergarten, and they used to call it Nest, and there were some 21 odd students, and all of them used to say, when we used to ask them, what will you become once you grow up, they said, I'll marry Bhavna ma'am. So they are so closed and attached to their teachers, so they see them as their ideas, role models, or that was the kind of love and affection students have with their teachers, and that is a kind of connect. And I also remember some of the teachers. I don't remember much of my university teachers, but I still remember my school teachers. I used to hate my PT teacher, I used to hate my sports teacher, but I had a great amount of love with with the rest of my teachers, because the PT teacher and the sports teacher were the male teachers, and they were very strict. Females are more empathetic, I think, and they can understand emotions in a better way. So I think, yes, and they have a great role to play. Because see, our first teachers are our parents only, mothers. So if you bring them into professional circuit, then I think they'll perform very well there also. So they have a great role to play.
So what's your philosophy of life?
Live and let live. Be happy and make others also happy who are around you. See, if you'll be happy, you'll make others happy also. If others are happy and the people around you are happy, eventually you'll be happy. So, and how to make yourself happy? Love yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to feel confident of who you are. At the end of the day, only you know who you are. So you have to always try and make or bring the best version of you. So once you discover yourself, once you realize that, okay, fine, these are the things which make me feel happy, I think. And when you are happy, when we are happy, we do everything in the best possible way. But when we are not happy, when we are unhappy, disturbed, broken, shattered, then we are not able to focus on anything. So my philosophy of life is to live and let live. Be happy and make others also happy who are around you.
So do you challenge your limits?
Of course, I told you, every day, I am the best competition of myself. So whatever I do, next time if I'm doing it, I just try to beat myself. Because at the same point of time, I love myself so much, you can say to the level of obsession, that I am my biggest competitor. Otherwise, I'm not competitive at all. I never used to compete with the students, with my class fellows and classmates and batchmates. I used to only compete myself, because it was the terror of my parents and my mom. Actually, I love to hate studies. So I was not a very bookworm kind of a student, though I landed in teaching profession. And I always tell my students also, you can imitate me, you can practice as to what I did, but if you feel confident in yourself. I was very confident that I can make it in one night. So for me, examinations were one night full fight. But if you can do it, then only follow me. Otherwise, don't follow me. It's not good. So I challenge myself every day in everything I do.
So what are your current roles and responsibility as Dean, Department of Business, American College of Dubai?
Gaurav, there's a lot of responsibility. It also depends on how you take it. Because I believe in taking ownership of whatever I do. There are specific stated roles which you need to perform. And there are so many unstated roles also which are not explicitly expressed. But then if you feel and if you think that you are responsible for this also, you own it. So when you own it, that means you have to do everything. So it is related to academics, it is related to administration, it is related to management, everything. And then at the end of the day, you are a teacher. So you have to work on your publications also. You have to work on your self-growth also. So you have to enroll yourself into certification courses. You have to do FDPs, you have to do MDPs, and you have to contribute also. It's not that you have to only take it. You also have to give it back. So participating in conferences, organizing symposiums, guest lectures, corporate interaction. So there's no dearth of work which I don't take it as my work profile as a dean. We used to have principals in schools. It is something like that. If you are a dean of some school, be it business school or engineering, or you are the principal. So you are responsible for almost everything. So not everything will be listed in your job profile, but then it depends on what kind of a leader you are. So there are so many things which you actually own it. You do it with ownership out of your inner conscience. There's no dearth of work.
So tell us about your initiative, Social Research and Human Development Foundation.
This is something which is very close to my heart. Since my childhood, as I told you, I was very, very passionate about doing something called, I don't know why I have, and it is growing day by day. Maybe because I was very close and attached to my grandparents or my father, and that is why I feel so connected to these elderly people. I love to spend time with them. I love to talk to them. I've seen most of the people are not interested in talking to elderly people, but I think there's so much to learn from them. So I never actually miss an opportunity to interact, or whenever I get hold of some person who is 16, and that is why I have a very close bonding with all my bosses in my organization, different organizations. In American College of Dubai also there is the president, Dr. Hassan Baba. He's a retired army man and he's from Syria. And Syria, what kind of problems and challenges the country is going through. It is always good to interact and get to know about Syrian life and people, what kind of challenges he faced, and in his real life, in his personal life, professional life. So you get to learn them. They have seen the life and very closely, and they can give you some really valuable inputs. So in Social Research and Human Development Foundation, we were trying to do something for underprivileged children in terms of education, in terms of enhancing their employability, providing them all kind of support, financial support, and otherwise also to help them, educate them, or to provide them with resources which can make them, like we are visiting people and we are getting some information that they need some kind of source of income. They want to do some work. So, but they are not educated. So you can't educate elderly people and you can't make them employable overnight. So initially we used to provide them sewing machines because they are good in tailoring. We used to provide them shelter, space where they can come sit as a community and stitch something, and then it can be supplied to some shops. So in whatever way we can help them, we did. For elderly people also, whether it is medication, whether it is shelter, whether it is taking care, even like we adopt children, we adopt elderly people also. So adoption process, again, it's a taboo in India. People don't like discussing all these things. So, and I have been always doing things which is very, very unconventional, which is very different from what people in general do. So that is something which we are doing, and we are doing it very quietly. And it's not the only thing which I'm doing. There are so many other voluntary organizations where I'm connected to. Like I'm very much connected to Robin Hood Army. Then I am also associated to Hometown Mosques, where I contribute in whatever capacity I can. Then if there's some adoption going on of children who come in these madrasas for Hafza, you know what Hafza is? Memorizing the entire Quran. So social research is not the only platform through which I do. This gives me a lot of peace and happiness, and I feel I'm giving it back to the society from where I've got so much. So I do it in my own personal capacity, and I actually don't prefer talking about it also.
So now, as you told that you are starting your venture and you are starting your entrepreneur journey, just tell us about your startup.
Gaurav, it will be an education venture only because that is the only thing I know. I've been doing it since last 20 years. I want to provide a platform where I can work as a gateway for students across the globe if they want to migrate from one university to another university, from one country to another country, providing them an opportunity to actually compare the cost part, because education in today's time is very expensive. So it's not, though it is an investment, but then not everybody sees it as an investment. And especially I'll be working for students coming from African continents because they have a lot of potential and they just want an opportunity. So if I can collaborate and tie up with certain universities and colleges and institutions where I can bargain a little bit in the name of CSR activity or whatever, to honestly work for students who are coming from a low income background and provide them the equal opportunity to excel, then definitely that will be one of my area of work. Then professional teaching, tutoring I'll be doing to all the students from different backgrounds. Then I also want to have student exchange programs, then certification programs, collaborating with different universities and colleges. Other than that, if in my own capacity I can do or I can generate a lot of support for school children, especially whether it is Afghanistan or whether it is Syria or places which are going through really rough patch. If I can actually work in academics for these countries and children of these countries, then that will be an added thing. I'm looking forward to collaborate with organizations like Red Cross and there are so many other NGOs and global organizations working towards it. If I can collaborate with them, then that will be very, very good achievement for me. That will make me feel happy.
So what all are do's and don'ts you would suggest to young generation who are just trying to start their career in education line?
Be yourself. The first thing, you have to realize your own potential. You have to be yourself. Only you know who you are. I mean, nobody can come and tell you that you have to become this, you have to become this, do things like this. I'm not against somebody giving you inputs and ideas, but then only you know as what is the best in you. And the sooner you realize, the better it is. And you have to be very, very focused and very upfront. And never be afraid of chasing your dreams. You realize your potential. You have to look for it as to how you can achieve that. It is a systematic approach. It comes one by one. So you have to take small steps, and till the time you reach there where you want to, you have to be very, very focused. Even if you fail, even if you're not able to convince, you fail, you have to embrace your failures also. You can't just give up. If you have a strong belief in what you are and what you want to achieve and what potential you have, what capability and caliber you have, definitely I think it'll take you a long way, and you'll not be afraid of failures, because failures is something which is inevitable. And if you don't embrace your failures, because see, there's no way you can be on it, you can be under it, you can be around it. You have to be through it. You have to be through your failures, through your pain. So there's no choice but to embrace it. The more you will be open to accept it with open arms or humbly, the better it will be for you. Because unless and until you go through your failures, you will not be able to taste success. And I don't know success, what people call success is, people define success as getting a good job, or maybe earning a lot of money, or having a house, or having a family. But success is very, very subjective. I mean, you can find success. For me, success is just like happiness. Do things which makes you feel happy. If you're able to do it successfully, then only eventually you'll be happy. So I relate my success to my happiness. Whatever I do in my life, I do it for a purpose. And if I'm able to achieve it, I'm not only happy, I'm also successful in my own way. It may not appear something very big kind of achievement to the outer world, but then that is what makes me feel happy, contented. That makes my life worthy. So I always tell my students to be very, very compassionate, very honest. If you're not able to be honest to others, at least be honest to yourself. Stick to your value system, stick to your belief, and be confident in whatever you're doing. You just can't keep on changing your tracks every day. You may get influenced, you may get carried away from time to time, but then at the end of the day, you have to do. Every day I always ask my students and whosoever I meet, all the young generation people, do a little bit of introspection every day. When you are hitting your bed, take out 10 minutes of time and just summarize as to what you did from morning to evening. If it becomes a habit, then you will definitely acknowledge as to what went wrong today, and next day, the first thing you should start your day with is to rectify the previous day's mistake. Till this time also, I made a to-do list. Even if I have to speak to somebody, I may miss out because I keep busy. So I scribble it. I have to speak to my friend. I don't even want to miss out on, my friends, my family. So you have to be very focused, and only you know what you want to achieve. So if you are not focused, if you are not very, very clear as to what goals you have set for yourself, or where do you want to reach or achieve, I don't think so anybody can come and tell you. And you have to always be very, very original and honest to yourself. You can't be fake, you can't be plastic, you can't be artificial. You can only, because someday or the other you will be unlayered, you will be exposed at different situations. So it's always better to be very original and very straightforward. Express yourself. Don't keep things to yourself. Express yourself. If you have a problem, if you have a confusion, discuss it out. Talk to your family, talk to the people whom you are confident talking to. So that is what I always tell my students. But one thing I'll definitely say, never keep things to yourself. Never go into thinking too much on something. If you are not able to achieve something, leave it for some time. Try again. If you're not comfortable with something, get out of that situation. Don't linger it, don't drag it. And once you achieve it, don't stay there. Put up a new challenge, a next task for you. Because success is not a destination, it's a journey. It's a process. So you have to make your challenges, your tasks. So never give up. Don't confide in too much in people. Don't exploit your limits to an extent where you think you are completely exhausted. Don't refrain yourself in expressing things. Don't refrain yourself in connecting to people. Try everything out, whatever makes you feel happy and comfortable. And then only you'll be able to figure out as to who are the people whom you should connect. And one thing I always suggest people, that be very, very particular about the people whom you are with. Because at any given point of time in your life, we are influenced by 5 people. That is the maximum number of people at any point of time which will influence you. So imagine if the number is so less, 5 people, you have to be very, very selective in who will be the 5 people who will be around you at any given point of time. So you should be very, very selective in making choices in whom you'll be preferred to be surrounded with. Selection of people, selection of relationships, selection of people whom you confide in, whom you feel confident in talking to is very important. Wrong selections can be very disastrous. So you have to be always around people who brings the best out of you, who are positive. So these are few of the inputs which I'll prefer to, I hope people understand as to how important it is to be yourself, to be original, to be honest to yourself, and to be straightforward, loyal, compassionate, and to love yourself. The essence is to love yourself. Fall in love with yourself.
So now we'll start a rapid round.
Okay.
Your favorite actor and actress?
Every movie I watch, the actor who is acting in it becomes my favorite for that point of time.
Your favorite color?
Red.
Your favorite destination?
Amsterdam.
Your favorite brand?
There are so many, but what I wear is Zara.
Things in your wish list?
Traveling, and doing something for elderly people. I don't know why it is so much there in my mind. I actually want to do things for children, elderly people, and I want to travel destinations. No matter, I don't have a house, I don't have a big car, I don't have luxuries of life, but I still want to travel.
Your dream house?
Somewhere on hills, countryside, somewhere very close to nature.
Your favorite adventure?
It would be, I have not done it, I'm just planning to do it, but it would be paragliding.
Your second choice of career?
No second choice. Either I'll be teaching, or I'll be doing something related to teaching, or I'll be full-fledged doing social work. Yes.
At last, one line that defines you?
I'm a very compassionate person, very honest, loyal, and reliable. One can bank on me.
So thank you very much for your time, and it was a pleasure talking to you and listening to the advices and the challenges which you have shared on our show. Thank you very much.
And Gaurav, thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you, and I hope whatever I've shared, my life experience also can help people to understand and realize their potential, and it helps them in some way living their life in a much better perspective.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching Amazing Mentor. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button to get regular updates. Thank you very much.